Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about Batman Superman World's Finest issue 36 by Mark Waid, Adrian Gutierrez and Tamara Bonvillain. The attack on the underwater kingdom of Atlantis continues as Floronic Man is revealed to be behind the infection spreading through Tritonus. The villain captures Batman and Robin, gloating that Flora always beats Fauna, but Batman begs to differ, unleashing a laser beam that cuts through the kelp and blasts off Floronic Man's arms and legs. Waid does a very interesting thing here where Batman kind of gloats about loving overconfident villains since he knows their weakness right up front. But then Floronic Man proves that he's not actually overconfident, he's rightly to be confident and can best Batman since he knows Batman is out of his depth, pun intended here. However, he wants to play around with the heroes a bit first. Floronic Man literally dissipates into atoms, escaping the heroes with another really cool use of the book's texts from Adrian Gutierrez, as Floronic Man turns into the text itself, saying goodbye to the heroes as he just fades away into the water. Batman quickly calls into Superman, warning him of Floronic Man, but Superman is still imprisoned by Ronal and the kingdom of Tritonus. The dynamic duo don't like Superman not responding, so they plan to go to Aquaman for help, but upon arriving in the city, they find Arthur has his hands full with a full-blown riot, as the people demand he actually do something about the plague spreading and not play superhero on the surface world. This is some good story setup from Waid as he's laying out the three prongs of his plot here. There's Arthur's story, Superman's story, and Batman and Robin's story. All of the characters have a purpose to the overall story and all their time on the page, matters. Like they're not wasting any time here. Not able to get help from Aquaman, Batman and Robin go and try and find Superman and where he is being held captive. During their journey, Robin and the readers are given a crash course on who Jason Woodrue is and how he became the Floronic Man. Gutierrez again does some really cool stuff with the page space he's given here as he makes the villain's origins look like an old 70s 80s comic, with the Ben-Day dots. The paper looks like that yellowing print paper they would use at that time. It looks great, and it's even got some muted colors thanks to Tamara Bonvillain. It just looks fantastic, like they've taken a page from one of those comics and just kind of like slotted it in here. Waid also explains his origins pretty concisely in one single page, which for a weird character like Floronic Man is a pretty big feat. Like, he's a very strange character, and I like what Waid does here with just easily just lays it out like, yeah, he's a scientist, he does this, he does that. And it's really easy to understand. While Batman tells Robin about what they are up against, Aquaman tries to calm his people, understanding their frustration and fear, reminding them that Poseidians always face adversity with clear heads and bold hearts. Soon he is told of the royal army of Tritonus is at their doorstep, signaling war is imminent. So with no other choice, Arthur and Mera call for war, getting decked out in some cool new heavy underwater armor. Arthur gets to finish his speech as well, and Waid really sells a regal and kingly Arthur here. I also feel it's a setup to the inevitable Ronal-Arthur showdown, which will no doubt happen later on in the issue. Only now Arthur has the backing of his people again, which I didn't think would actually happen since it looked like they were setting him up for the age-old story of Arthur kind of being ousted from his kingdom by his people who don't like that he is a hero on the surface world, and that looks like exactly where it was headed. But I like that there's like turn here where the people are now rallying behind him, it seems, and kind of putting a kibosh on Ronal's plan, which was to, foment that untrustworthiness towards Arthur. As Poseidius rides to war, Laurie tries to free Superman from his bonds, but they prove too strong, both for her and Superman thanks to the magic imbued in them. Laurie ends up giving Superman a crucial bit of information here as she reveals that Ronal, while he's always been arrogant and quick to anger, lately has been wanting to prove himself more and more, and thus has been kind of cutting himself off from her a little bit. During all of this, Superman listens to Laurie's heartbeat, finding that she's being truthful with him, and interestingly, he asks if she came back for only his help, but her heart rate rises slightly, indicating to Clark that she still has feelings for him, which is why she's helping him, and this surprises him quite a bit. Superman is able to free himself from the magical chains by destroying the anchor points in the rocks with this heat vision, and as he does, Batman and Robin arrive, giving him a hand of actually removing the magical cuffs on his hands. At Poseidius, Aquaman confronts Ronal, demanding that he stand down, but Superman arrives, delivering news of the Floronic Man and how he is behind all of this and trying to use them as barriers for his disease. It's great that this didn't immediately end the threat either. Ronald just sees Floronic Man as yet another land walker interfering in their business, like what Aquaman is to them, since he doesn't believe Aquaman to be a full Atlantean. Superman is taken out of the equation by Mera and Arthur, who know his presence is only making Aquaman look weaker. Superman doesn't really like that, since his main concern is the lives that will be lost if this war kicks off, and it's only after Aquaman actually lays down the law and actually says he actually has no jurisdiction here, being that this is his kingdom, does Clark leave. However, he stays around in the area just to keep an eye on things. Laurie ends up meeting with Superman and learns that Floronic Man created this disease and spread it to her people, framing the Poseidonians for it. Batman and Robin meanwhile will pursue Floronic Man through the ocean depths, learning that he wanted dominance over Atlantis. Jason lays out his plans pretty simply. He needed to frame Poseidonus to spread the disease so he can stoke the war and wipe everyone out, strolling in to take over in the aftermath. The war Superman tries to prevent soon begins, and Aquaman battles Ronald and his troops. So why would Floronic Man want dominance over the kingdom of Atlantis? Well, it's rather quite honestly surprising a reason, since Floronic Man has found that Atlantis is filled with many magical and powerful vegetations that he can, interact with, and he finds that they are calling to him to become part of them, and he wants to do that in order to rule the world. He knows that this continent spans, 70% of the world, so with it he can rule the world. It's a pretty fun setup to a rule the world plot. He thinks the plants are telling him to take it all over, but of course the plants aren't. He's just hearing things he wants to hear, since Jason is delusional. Superman meanwhile is pained by the fact that he cannot intervene in the war going on below him, and Laurie can sense it and comes to comfort him, revealing that she knows that Ronald is no longer the man she loves, and he has left her lonely. As the war continues, Floronic Man monologues to Batman and Robin, and Batman reveals that he actually wants him to continue talking, since as he quickly tells Robin, he had Alfred send a message to a friend, someone who's very interested in the activities of the Floronic Man. Batman's friend soon arrives in the form of Alec Holland, Swamp Thing, who frees the heroes from the kelp, telling Jason that the Flora will not bend to his will. Floronic Man employs his skills of making bodies out of any vegetation really creatively here, since Swamp Thing is made out of vegetation, so the villain just grows himself a new body from Alex. This is a great use of powers and not one I'd actually even considered, and it's also very fitting since he is the inverse of Swamp Thing. He is everything the opposite of Swamp Thing. And him making his body out of Swamp Thing is him kind of perverting the things Alec represents, which is like Floronic Man's whole MO, so that's a cool visual representation right there. Aquaman and Mera meanwhile beat back Ronald's forces, defeating them outright, but Ronald himself is still kicking, tackling Arthur deep down into the rocks nearby, where the King of Tritonus witnesses Laurie kissing Superman, angering him to the point of no return. The Superman-Laurie kiss you could kind of see coming from a mile away, their old flames being reunited. There's this, underlying plot of Laurie not feeling loved by her husband anymore, who's just kind of like blinded by, the need for war and the need to rule. So she's feeling herself very lonely and separated from everyone, and she's looking for someone to love her. So I can kind of see that, but also her dialogue before the scene where she was talking about loneliness and like how her husband is like lost forever and everything, that kind of felt like mind control like dialogue, like there was something a bit more going on there with her, and I'm intrigued to see what Wade is actually going to do with her, since he's using her quite a bit in other stuff as well as other writers as well, so she definitely has some sort of role going forward. So I'm very interested to see what he has in store for her in the finale of this story's arc. Batman Superman, World's Finest issue 36 really blew open the rather run-of-the-mill story of impending war on the ocean floor, with the reveal of a very interesting villain for the World's Finest to tangle with. Wade really shows off his knack for balancing plots here, since while there aren't a lot of them, they are all moving parts to a machine, and he makes it all click together really well, leaving just a little bit of mystery and intrigue left for the finale next issue. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.